Where are the best beaches in the country? Is Manila any fun? Why do we put ice on cold beer? Time to answer those kinds of questions. Done in Philippine English, we dive into the quirks and what works in Philippine travel. This is Tropik Banter.
Thanks, Kim. And welcome everybody to the very first podcast of Tropik Banter. My name is Bryan Ocampo, and with me today are these two fine gentlemen. John Zuluaga, the Business Development Director of Intas Destinations, and Tour Leader Extraordinaire, Rupert Andres. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, sir. All good?
All good. So, the common question about the Philippines, will I get kidnapped in the Philippines?
I mean, it's not something you can categorically say no, because nothing is sure in the world. That's not a very comforting answer. But it's a bit extreme to go straight to, am I going to get kidnapped? There are safety questions. I do get safety questions every so often from travel agents and even from guests asking, is it safe? It really depends on where you're going. In the Philippines, just like most countries, there are safer parts than others. There are places where even the locals don't go. So if the locals tell you not to go there, don't go there. I mean, it's kind of common sense, but that's in my very limited experience. Somebody else can. Rupert, what do you think?
Okay. In my opinion, for the places we go, of course, no. It's actually very safe. Filipinos are very warm, especially when you go to the islands. First, when I meet the clients already, when I do the briefing already, of course you don't have like the questions like that, but there are more on the safety questions regarding is the water in the bathroom is okay to brush their teeth, those kinds of things. But in case of getting kidnapped, no. That's my answer.
But like right now, there's like a news that came out from Forbes, though, saying that Manila is ranked as like the fifth, not so safe places to visit. So, what do you do if somebody brings that up to you in your encounters?
Well, again, it's a very technical question. Also in the sense that when you say Manila, it's a loaded, because what are we talking about? We're talking about Manila. We're talking about Metro Manila. Are we splitting hairs if you start going about the geography of Metro Manila and all of that? But it also, I think, like any big city, you have your. I think it's common sense. I think it's a common sense thing. Without going into discussions like Manila is safer than Singapore or vice versa, or it's not like other Western cities where they would say that it's safer. A lot of it is common sense. I mean, a lot of it is if you come to Manila or if you visit Manila, do you behave or move around in a way that you don't do in your own hometown? Because everybody's hometown has the safe side and the maybe not so safe side. So it's a long answer. Unfortunately, all my answers are very long-winded because I also cannot categorically say, no, that article is BS because it's Forbes. And unfortunately, internationally, the news that sells is always bad news. So
It's true.
We've had, unfortunately, one or two incidences or more in the past with guests and security. That's the news that goes out. So that's the news that sticks in everybody's mind. But there are millions of tourists and visitors who come over to the Philippines and nothing happens to them. So it's a sensitive one. It's a sensitive question, I think. And the answer is not. It's easy to ask, but it's not that easy to give a definitive answer.
Rupert.
In places like in Manila, actually, John is right. It depends maybe on the city, but I've saw some vloggers, bloggers, especially on TikTok, and they were like walking in the places like in Manila, in Tondo. You know Tondo is,
Tondo,
right?
where is it?
Tondo is located in the center part of Manila, about west side of Binondo area.
Binondo is where again? What is Binondo?
Binondo is the oldest Chinatown outside of the mainland China, So at these specific places, we know as a Filipino that there's a lot of people, we call them
Informal settlers.
informal settlers. Well, I saw these vloggers. They are mainly Europeans, and they were like walking on the streets, and they feel really safe. Of course, there are a lot of kids on the streets. They are like saying hello, hello, and everything. They were like begging for a little bit of coins, but they're not really insisting. So maybe they are making it safe for the guy or the vlogger, because they're always putting in their self, like whenever you see some visitors, you get like really excited. So sometimes I saw one vlogger. They were like escorting this guy to go to this basketball court, playing some hoops with random Filipinos, shirtless, of course, full covered with tattoos, and the guy is really happy, and of course it depends on the city, but of course if you go to the one of the richest cities in the Metro Manila, like Makati, or the business district, it's walkable, it's nice, it's safe, everyone is very smiley. Of course they could speak English, they're going to have a little bit of conversation with you. Filipinos, we want to know their real age, where they came from and everything, even personal things. So it depends. It depends on the area.
So like, how do you make sure that a trip or a tour runs safely?
Okay, basically the very first impression of our visitors will be when the leaders welcome them. Of course, first-hand experience. Once they have arrived at the airport, our airport representatives is going to welcome them. The drivers will be very happy to greet them as well. But on the day that you are going to introduce yourself already, once you've tell more of yourself, you become comfortable to the clients, they start to become comfortable already. They get the sense like, oh, the tour leader is, really enthusiastic and really have a lot of fun to himself, So they become really safe already at your hands, especially that you will be leading a trip, for 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
John, I have a question. Like, since you interact with sales agents from other companies, what is like the topmost, like the number one thing that you tell them when they come here with regards to safety? Like, what do their guests need to bring, or any helpful reminder?
I tend to advise them, or when they ask about safety. Again, it depends on, like Rupert was saying a while ago. There are different levels of safety, like from is the water safe to drink, that sort of thing, and going up to the more extreme cases of, is my life in danger if I go into certain parts of town. But honestly, and this I have to speak from personal experience. It's really a matter of common sense. It's really comes down to common sense. A lot of times, me personally, safety is a question of the risks that you take. So, addressing the elephant in the room. I was born and raised in Manila. Okay, I'm from here. I'm not a foreigner. So just want to make that clear, because in my experience, like growing up, so on the one hand, there was always that thing that we were constantly told. Growing up, that you have to be careful because you're a kidnap target, because you look like a foreigner. I mean, that's something it's a fear that I grew up with, but thankfully nothing has ever happened to me. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. Without qualifying if it's good, bad, what it just is. There's actually, as Rupert was saying, there's more of a deference to foreign-looking individuals when they visit. I mean, there are levels, okay? But also in the areas that, go where you have tourist traffic or visitors, it's also in their best interest to take care of the foreigners because they want foreigners to keep coming back. They want to say that I went to El Nido, I went to Camiguin, I went to Bohol, and I was treated very well because word of mouth is the best selling tool. So it's a question of common sense. It's how you behave also. If you operate at a certain level of responsibility in your own hometown, you keep doing that when you're traveling abroad. I have never been pickpocketed living in Manila, thankfully. I was pickpocketed like the second month after I moved to Madrid. Does that mean Madrid is not a safe city? Not really. But I was careless. And so I got pickpocketed.
Don't you think that we get a share of really bad publicity if that's the case? Because
Like I said a while ago, it's a lot of it, unfortunately, has to do with the information that's going around. And like, what's the main, or before recent years, what was the main information that you would find out about the country? What you see in the news, what you read about, movies, popular culture, whatever. Now it's gotten even more, I guess, widespread with the internet, with vloggers, with blogs, social media. So, what sells? Two things sell: either the really beautiful pictures or the bad news. So, when I was living abroad, the only news I ever saw, as in on the regular news broadcast, nightly news, was if something bad happened here, typhoon, flooding, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, kind of praying that hopefully the Philippines doesn't show up in the news today because it's always it's always this negative. It's always it was always this anytime you heard about it,
Tragedy.
which was very few and far between, it was bad. So that's why now, I mean, it's not really related to safety. A little bit. The most frequently asked question is, so in the rainy season, you can't go to the Philippines? Because that's all that shows up in the news. Typhoon here, flooding there, earthquake
Earthquakes,
here.
yeah.
Same thing with safety.
But for the benefit of our listeners, though, the Philippines is like a country located in the Pacific Ring of Fire, and we experience earthquakes and we have volcanoes. And aside from that, we're also facing the Pacific Ocean where typhoons come from. We're the first to be hit most of the time. And we're on the lookout now. And I think Rupert can probably share with us how do you're like a storm chaser, I think. How do you do it, Rupert? Could you tell?
Actually, most of us,
Yeah.
especially our house leaders in Intas, we have all experienced everything. But I still remember 2018. This was an adventure series, a British group. Can we name it? Okay, it's a British group. The night that we started in Manila already, I was forecasting already because there's the news already that the super typhoon will be heading towards to the northern part of Palawan Islands, which is our destination. So we're making already Plan B, Plan C, Plan D, everything. What's the best option we could do, but. God forbid, we were very lucky. The day that the typhoon arrived in El Nido, by the way, El Nido is on the northern part of Palawan region, not the farthest northern, but it's right there.
For those, pardon the interruption. For those who have seen the map of the Philippines, Palawan is the arm that's sticking out to the side.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Rupert. Go ahead.
And prior to the arrival of the typhoon, of course, you could feel the power already, the outer bound power of the typhoon,
The wind.
The wind, the rain goes off and on and off and on. And we could do nothing, What we do is we just like drink the night off,
Where?
in a bar, in a resort. We were stuck right there. We don't have any option.
That's not a bad place to get
that's
stranded in.
Actually, not the best. Not actually the bad place to be stuck. So
I'm curious, what was the initial reaction of your group?
okay, of course, we cannot predict about the typhoon, the arrival, the exact time, But what we did, we have plans already. So I've told to my clients that we have plans, plan B, plan C, plan D, and we will be still seeing the best of the opportunity to see our island, which is the Ginto Island. Ginto Island is the best islands we could offer right now. And the typhoon is just only a day and a half, and the next day it was blue sky in El Nido, and it's beautiful weather. It's hot. First thing foremost, 7 o'clock in the morning, I called the Coast Guard. Is it possible to sail right now? We didn't have a word from the Coast Guard, so I waited again for another an hour. So this was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and they said yes. You can sail right now. So we supposed to stay in the island for 2 nights, but because of the typhoon arrival, it messed up our trip for a few days, but we still managed to see the Ginto Island. And when I broke the news to the group,
Yeah, I'm curious
during
about that.
breakfast, we were all celebrating. We start opening beers already. We're so excited. We check out immediately from the resort, hop onto the van, and it's champagne time already. And yeah.
I just want to ask, Rupert. So you've had, as you said, you've seen and experienced everything. So when you're in the middle, sorry, the safety discussion is now veering towards weather.
Yeah,
But when
it's related to that.
yeah, when let's say you're with guests, whether it's a couple or a family or whatever, or the bigger groups, and you get hit by bad weather. Like, we're used to it.
Yeah.
You say, this is going to be a day of rain. Just stay in place and don't worry about it. I mean, that's us, because we've kind of lived through it, and it's like, this is Tuesday. But as far as I know, most of our guests are not familiar with the concept of monsoon rains, with typhoons, hurricanes, that sort of thing. Do they panic? Do they freak out with the weather?
Okay, when I did the briefing already in Manila, they were, in panic mode already.
Okay.
Ooh,
But-
what kind of reaction? I'm curious.
They were like,
because-
oh my God, this very expensive trip, And now they were like, what's going to happen in the next few days? And I just told them, guys, relax, the typhoon will be arriving in 1.5 days, and we still have the time to be in the islands. It's much better to be in the island already rather than here in Manila, stuck here in Manila.
Will I die, Rupert?
Of course, no. But when the clients saw about the guide's reaction, normally when they knew that the guide is calm and relaxed, they're going to give it okay, we're in a good hands, and yeah.
I agree. Once the captain starts to panic, then you start panicking.
That's the real thing, yeah. And we know in ourselves, we've experienced so many typhoons in our life, type category 5, category 4. It's just nothing to us, And, of course, they get panic, but once they see the guide, their captain being comfortable, he is planning a lot of things for us, for the next couple of days, they will be fine.
Which actually, sorry, kind of going on that point and going back to the original question about safety and traveling.
Safety, yeah.
One of the things that I mentioned to agents and listen to the locals.
Yeah.
Without going so far as to say, for God's sake, follow instructions, but just listen to the locals. Again, your mileage may vary. Because some people, you have travelers of all kinds. You have
That's
those who will, if you're lucky, I guess, Rupert, they'll go, they'll see, and they'll have a bit of an open mind and okay, this is unfamiliar to me. But the guy who's bringing me, who's from here, is not worried. So, okay, it's not that bad. And then there are those who, because they are internet experts or are just people who no, if it's I've been to Thailand 5 times. I mean, there are you guys are groaning, and I imagine you've had those kinds of guests na kind of know-it-alls and they know better than the locals. But also that contributes to safety issues. Like if the locals are telling you, look, don't go there, or
Yeah.
you know what,
Yeah.
where today is not a good day to go because the weather's bad. And we have this issue every now and then in El Nido. When the sea is rough, the Coast Guard may be a little too cautious, maybe not. That's their job.
Yeah.
They'll say, okay, nobody goes out today.
That's true.
And it's the Coast Guard. You're not going to argue with the
Oh, yeah.
Coast Guard. Even though sky is blue, sun is shining, why can't I go out on a boat? The Coast Guard said don't go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Final word.
Safety first.
don't, and it's a safety decision. It's a safety decision because maybe you can't see at the beach you're at how rough the sea conditions are. But in that case, they kind of know a little bit better.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's listen to the locals. Is if you're on a guided trip or an escorted trip, definitely listen to the locals, listen to the guide, the driver. If you're backpacking on your own, again, common sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm hijacking because this is a common question also that I have, and I'm sure Rupert, you've seen this a lot. That romantic idea of going to an island, renting a motorbike, and then going around and seeing the island on your own. It's cool. It's nice. It's again, it's a very romantic idea. As a tour operator, we're like, you know what?
Yeah.
Don't recommend it to your guests.
That's true.
It's a risk. Maybe nothing will happen to them. Maybe they're good drivers, they're experienced, whatever. But we cannot assume that responsibility because that's a personal driving here in the Philippines is not like driving in other places in the world.
Actually, I was about to get to that now since we've spoken a lot about conditions at sea. Let's talk about the conditions of the roads in the Philippines. I mean, what's the first consideration for foreigners to know when they come here with regards to road safety?
Okay. Whenever we have like clients as well that will be asking question, it is safe to rent a motorbike, Of course, we will be telling them, if you are comfortable with it, why not, But please, as John said, common sense. You need to take care a lot of, things, especially on the road, We've seen a lot of people already. Not within our clients, backpackers, especially in the islands. You go to El Nido. I've seen some people in Port Barton as well. There are too many dogs, and these dogs are not really tied to their homes. They are like free range
They're
animals.
unvaccinated, no?
And if you're on a moped running 20 kilometers or 30 kilometers and the dog will be just like crossing the road really fast, it's like an accident, So I've seen a lot of people like that. So whenever our customers will be asking, it is safe to rent a motorbike, I'll be just like telling them, maybe you can get a tricycle. It will be much safer to use a tricycle than getting on a moped.
Are we pedestrian friendly?
No, sorry, I didn't really have to think about that one. Unfortunately, no. That's one of the things that we're in general, not just the big cities, but just in general, pedestrians are not a priority in the city planning. When you go out into what we call the province, which is basically anywhere that is not in a city, just for everyone's reference, you'll hear it a lot. We talk about the province or provincial. Basically, anywhere in the Philippines that's not a major city. Actually, anywhere in the Philippines that's not Manila is considered the province because Cebu is a major city.
Cebu City, yeah.
Major city, major port, major airport. But the people from Manila will talk about the people from Cebu as being from the province. That's a weird little cultural hang-up that we have.
Another layer.
Yeah, that's a different discussion altogether. But anyway, the province in when you get further out from the cities, there's only one road. I mean, the very common thing is you have your main road that cuts the town in half. And everybody goes through there, whether it's pedestrians, whether it's cars, trikes, buses. And no, it's not very pedestrian friendly.
So you're really selling it, man.
No, this is an actual I don't know if you want to call it a warning, but it's something to consider,
Yeah.
especially for
And by
I'll-
the way, now do we drive on the right side or the left side of the road?
depends.
Okay. We drive on the right side, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we drive on the right side.
Yeah. Except when everybody's parked on the right side, so you end up driving on the left side. No, I sorry, I don't want to. But see, this is one of those things where you, more than saying how it's not. At least I don't. I try not to say it in a sense that
Don't go here.
it's not. It's a criticism as someone who lives here and has to deal with it. But as far as for people coming in, it's just something to consider and to keep in mind. Especially, for example, I'll go back to the European Europe is as a general rule is very pedestrian friendly. Is very pedestrian centered, especially in the cities. People actually stop for pedestrians for the most part. Even for cyclists, cars don't overtake cyclists when they're on the same road. So they're used to that level of respect, which doesn't translate to other countries. Not just the Philippines. Other countries don't have that
Yeah, I know.
that level of pedestrian friendliness. So it's something to keep in mind. It's something just again, common sense. Look at what everyone else is doing. Follow the law of the land, I guess.
Do you think there have been some improvements, with regard to these things, like how trips are run, how services are offered now than before?
Of course. Yeah, we have a lot of improvement already. And for now, safety is our number one priority. We take a look at, every aspects of angle.
So, for example, Rupert, you recently went on an inspection trip. Maybe you can tell people what you actually did so that they have an idea of how we give value on safety.
Okay. We do every lean season. So lean season this is the month of it actually ends about May. So from June, July, August, September, this is full of brainstorming, for the whole crew, tour guides, tour specialists, and leaders are being sent to the islands or every destinations that we go in the Philippines, and we do a validation trip. So we always look at, our suppliers. We're like checking restaurants, everything. But the most part, very important part, will be the safety of every places that we go.
So, for example, like you ride the boat, what do you look for first when you ride the boat?
First, everything should be, they have a proper documents, from marina, the boat has the license, the captain has a license, if it indicates the proper capacity of number of people on it. Maybe that's the most important part, but we have really good suppliers.
How about
And
for passenger safety on the boat? What do you look
passenger safety on the boat? Of course, number one, there will be life jacket, life buoys will be there. Everything should be in place,
for? Before you do an activity, what do you have, like some sort of do you talk to your passengers? How do you
Of
carry
course,
this
we
as well?
do. Number one first is before you do a safety briefing.
Okay.
These safety briefing are key essential, especially when you go to water activities, aside from telling them to put a lot of sunscreen, especially to our clients, their directions, but usually before we jump off from the boat, we ask first our local guides to check the condition of the water, first. If there's like a current on the water, if there are some animals that could be seen from the area, then whenever we have the go signal from our local guides already, that's the time we do the sign up. We tell to the clients it's safe to jump from the boat. You could use the ladder. Safe thing, of course. Safety first is our number one priority, especially water activities.
Again, listen to the locals, because actually this happened. I had the opportunity to escort the group, and every time we would stop we were in El Nido doing the island hopping, which is what you do in El Nido, going around the little. And so, as you guys know, in each stop, depending on where you are, whether it's in a lagoon or a beach or whatever, the tides affect how deep the parking space, for lack of a better term, is of the boat. And so the first question always is, can we jump off the boat? And the guides do include that in the briefing, and they're like, okay, if you're gonna jump, only jump from this side of the boat because that's
true.
deepest.
Yeah.
Do not jump from here because there are coral formations. And the group was not an English-speaking group, so it was in English. We translated. We told everybody, and the next thing you know, some guys jumping off the boat right into the spot where the guide told him not to jump. So thankfully, none of us had to get mad at that guest because their tour leader who escorted them from their country just took him to town, as in just laid into him, and he did not learn because the next stop where we were told not to jump, he jumped again. But since they had a tour leader that was, so it's like, okay, that's getting mad at the guest. That's you. That's on you.
You do you.
You do you because But again, it goes back to the previous overarching question of safety. How responsible also are you, and what risks are you taking while you're there? And again, I always go back to listen to the locals.
Yeah.
When does it become too safe and no longer fun? Because you're like there should be a balance. Like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, you have a lot of reminders. I went away from my country because there's too many reminders or rules. So I come here, and you're here to tell me not to do these things. So there are too many rules, man.
Sorry, I'm gonna be a bit rude here. That's a you problem, not an us problem. No, because that's also something, and I don't think that, or I doubt that we are unique in this. But it's just that idea sometimes of some travelers that if I go to this country, none of the usual rules apply to me. Or what do you mean this country has rules? I think that's more of a traveler thing than because this is not the Wild West. This is not Another thing though that's interesting, and because I have heard the comment once, I'm sure you've heard it also, that there is also sometimes a noticeable difference between what is safe and allowed for guests and for locals.
Take, for example, the jeepney. No, you ride at the back of the jeepney,
Or riding
or
on the
top.
roof on the jeepney, or even just the idea that everything is done in flip flops. Everything. Like
I saw this in Sagada. The guys going inside the cave, they're just wearing flip flops.
construction workers
They jump,
climbing up, buildings and repairing
Everything,
electrical posts, and they're in flip flops. And I have no answer for the guests. You're like, are they just wearing? They have no harness. In a lot of countries, you have a lot of safety regulations. You have to have a harness. You have to have a hard hat. You have to. And then you see these guys, clearly skilled workers, and they're just going around and climbing and doing things, and they're in flip flops with no harness, with no helmet, with no. And they're like, huh. And I was like, let's look at this other direction. That's unfortunately, I think, also a challenge that we have is that, yes, we are very conscious of safety for our guests, but then a lot of times we're not also the best examples. I say we because I'm going to include myself here. We're not the best examples to practice what we preach. Like if we do it, it's okay, but maybe you guys shouldn't do it. And I think that's where what you're saying that how come I can't, all these rules and all these things that I'm not allowed to do? Because you look over there and you see them doing exactly what I want to do. And the smart ass answer is, yeah, but they're not my client.
Yeah.
And I'm not responsible for them.
You know what I tell them? Because I'm also a guide now. Maybe on your next trip here in the Philippines, you can do that. You can do that.
Not on my trip.
Yeah, not on. I mean, it's literally it's not a sexy answer,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
literally not on our watch because there are responsibilities that we
course,
have to we have to consider and all of that.
I'm going to turn a little bit serious now. Since we've done all of the safety talk, all of that, but shit happens now. So I'm going to ask now Rupert now because you've experienced it, a lot. I mean, more than the usual, like assignments. What if things turn really bad? You could talk about anything you want, Rupert. Now, like what happened on the trip, somebody getting injured and stuff like that. What do you do?
Okay. These are the things that you cannot avoid already, like accidents. We have. This was only like last peak season. I have a lady who doesn't have any experience riding a car or driving a car or a scooter or everything, and we have a program which is quad bikes, an ATV on the Chocolate Hills.
Where is the Chocolate Hills, by the way?
Chocolate Hills is located in Bohol, specifically in Carmen, which is the center part of Bohol Island, and Bohol is located in Visayas region, middle part country of the Philippines. So I was referring to this lady, and I have this gut feeling already that something's going to happen. Already. Brian, in a group of 10, there will be always one. There's one,
The only one.
And you told me if you cannot find anyone from that group, you are the problem.
It's you.
That's true,
If you're gonna find
right?
one, it's you.
So I know that this is the one lady that I need to look at, So I've done my safety briefing. I told them, if you're not really comfortable, I have my buggy. You could ride my buggy, but she still insisted. So after like 15 minutes, we were like cruising on the Chocolate Hills. She had this panic attack, and she just like ran over a tree and flipped over. And in my mind already, oh shit, this is trouble. And I was always the sweeper of the group. I have my local guide that were like running. They eventually stop because they see the accident. First thing and foremost, I go direct to the client. I ask her. I give them like a first aid. That's the most very important thing, and then invite her to go to the nearest hospital so that I'm also so I'm not going to be worried. So I have this X-rays, scan, everything. She received some few stitches because there's like
No fractures or anything?
no fractures or
thank
anything.
God, yeah.
That's the most important thing. But she received a few stitches, like 4 stitches to the right arm. And these are like the things that you cannot avoid, even though you give it the most safetiest briefing already. These are the things that you cannot control already. And, again, you need to calm down. You need to relax as well so that the group tone will be relaxed as well. They've seen the accident, but they've seen the response of the leader. They see the response of the locals. And, again, it's just like one bad day. And the next day she's like moving forward already and continue our activity.
Going on that, and again to the larger question of safety, that's also one of the things that I do tell to agents. Now I'm going to blow some smoke up your ass because you both are guides, but that's one of the things when we talk about safety. That's one of the things that we do put forward. And look, the guides that we have, these are professionals. These are accredited. They know what to do in case of a problem. A while ago, I was talking about not taking risks, responsibility, common sense, which is not to say that I think that if something bad happens to a guest, it's his fault because they weren't.
Yeah.
No, the victim blaming is not. It's not a
Yeah.
question of victim blaming.
That's true.
Accidents happen, like Rupert says. Accidents happen. When the accident happens, the priority is not why did the accident happen. What did they do? It's first you attend to the issue at hand.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's something that a lot of importance has been placed, with our guides, with our tour leaders, and all of that. So, which is one of the one of the answers to the question of safety. If you're traveling on your own, backpacking, whatever, you maybe don't have that to lean on. Like you don't have a guide who's looking after you. You don't have an escort, but generally, I think one of the nice things about Filipinos in general is that they're usually willing to help.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
That's what I noticed too.
Yeah.
Or they just watch.
I mean, they'll
What's
watch.
happening there?
They'll watch first, and then someone will say, "Oh shit, something really happened," and then they'll go help. You know. I mean, but you know, it's there's thankfully that's still a big thing here. It's just generally if you know somebody's in trouble, or they will try to help as best as they can.
Oh yeah, they're always willing to help. You know, local guides, driver, bystanders, everyone. You know, everyone.
Rupert, what about the worst thing that can happen on a trip?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Let's go there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna drink.
Yeah. If you know, like not injury, but somebody passing on. You know, what would you usually do, or what would you do if it did happen to you? What did you do? Yeah.
Okay.
You can just like be general, broad about it.
Okay. Actually, as leaders in Intas, you know, we have different kinds of experience. You know, which is the most difficult part, which is death. You know. Others are naturally caused, which is only by the resort, but you could also have like by accident. This was only like last year on my trip as well. And unfortunately, there's one lady who passed away, We were on the island. We don't have any signal at all. We were excluded, we were on the island hopping, and we're just only on our first island visit. And, of course, safe debriefing and everything. We've known about the lady already, about her history. And then in just like a quick few seconds or maybe a minute, something happened. She got drowned, First thing I've noticed when you're snorkeling, your head is like moving.
Bobbing.
You're bobbing. Your hands is like this. Your feet is like moving. You do some moves, right, when you're in the water. And I just like noticed that she's not moving. I just count on my head like for 10 seconds. She needs to move, and she didn't. There's a kayak man behind her who's the sweeper of the group at the time. And I've asked the kayak man, please check on the lady. And when he checked on the lady, the lady is not responding already. So we immediately bring her to the boat. We give her the first CPR, the boast thing. We check. We didn't stop. I've called immediately our office, the Coast Guard. We need some ambulance. We need some help, Unfortunately, we're 2 hours away from the mainland at this time in El Nido. And you need to take it back, to the mainland just to get that hospital attention. By the time we're like heading, we're still not stopping for the CPR, 30 minutes time, the Coast Guard arrived with their speedboat, to get our guest, and one of our local guys as well, continuing helping with the CPR non-stop until they get to the hospital. But unfortunately, the lady didn't make it.
For a tour leader, like how did obviously like you feel? How did you feel? Like a woman that
Okay, at first I was shocked, but the group number is 14 people, But at the back of my head, there are still other people on my trip, and I need to look after them. So my attention was drawing towards to the bigger group because someone is attending already on the lady, and we have few doctors on the trip as well, which is attending to the passenger. But the first thing foremost, we did cancel already our expedition on that day. We immediately went back to the mainland. I still keep on being relaxed and calm because again, you cannot show your real frustration and you're sad, about what happened. You don't need to show that one to your guest. So, but when I get back to the hotel room already, I was shocked, and I was like still thinking about what happened, what went wrong, and everything. But I've asked with our locals, our crew as well, everyone from the trip. Everyone knew about what they did. Everyone's response, even our customers knows what did happen. But again, I need to tell to the clients that we need to move forward. Again, this is a holiday. If something bad's happen, it could be only like for a day, but we need to move forward. Unfortunately, I didn't broke the news to the crew. I let the owner of the operator tell
the
them.
ones, yeah. They followed protocol.
Yes, we have this protocol that they need to tell this to the our passengers.
How are you able to recover from that? I mean, like it seems to me that you have to be the strongest in the group. But after that trip, I'm sure
Yeah,
that you
actually, yeah, everyone is like calling me and Rupert, are you okay? My wife as well, my family as well, because I tell them that there's an accident. Of course, again, in one part of your life, something is going to come. We Filipinos are very resilient. We need to move forward. That's life. My conscience is clean. I know it.
you did your best.
Of course, I did my best. Even the operators know, our partners knows already what did happen, yeah, you just need to move forward. And it will gain you as one part of your experience. You again in the future you will become stronger. And until that moment, everything. When I do my safety briefing, I always check about my clients. I always ask them how's their condition for the day before we do our activity, to check them, even before they send them to bed, after our farewell, our dinner, continuously checking them, because it's an instant trauma that could, take a little while for you to go, but again, if something will come, you need to overcome it, and yeah.
You did well. Regarding safety again, though, there's also safety in the road, in the ocean. How about safety from in the group? Have you encountered people who shouldn't be in that trip or causing trouble, endangering the safety of people in the trip?
In my experience, maybe yes. I've also experienced. There were like 9 ladies from my trip, and there's only one guy.
Ooh.
The guy seems to be okay. This is an expedition trip as well from one of our British clients. We went after 3 days. We went into the island remotely. He was fine. He was like talking to the ladies. He was okay. But by the time we get back to the mainland in El Nido on the night after our dinner, he suddenly changed his behavior instantly. Like, okay, for tomorrow.
How big a change?
Oh, it's real change, like total change. Like
Jekyll and Hyde, something like that.
So he become like, a dick. That's my term. I still remember his name.
His name is Dick. Okay, let's call him Dick. Okay, so Dick was a dick.
So Dick,
Yeah.
If you're hearing this, no, I'm joking.
He knows
Okay.
he's a dick. No,
You know who you are.
We have a program of activities, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And this guy was suddenly, no, we need to go diving for tomorrow. I've heard that the dive sites here in El Nido is much better than doing the island hopping. And he was keeping on harassing the ladies already from my trip, which come to attention already that after our dinner, I didn't know that the ladies from my trip wrote an email to the operator about this Dick guy,
Dick, the dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was forcing them to do other activities rather than,
What
going
kind of
within the
activities,
program.
Rupert?
Okay,
not,
these
not the activities you're thinking about, Brian. This is a family show.
This program that we have for the British clients is a very relaxed team of a program. You do island hopping, you get your free day, you get to have your ceviche class, cocktail lesson, and everything. But he doesn't want to do it. After the trip, it's actually the 4th day. When we come back after that island experience, he suddenly changed his mood, everything, and he started shouting to one of my clients. He was, he was a pro Trump supporter. Of course, when we have do's and don'ts. When we run a trips, this one, Brian. You don't talk about politics when you're drinking.
Yep.
You don't talk about religion and stuff. We were trying to avoid these kinds of conversation, but he was still consistently bringing this one up. Because it was election. I remember that year, and this guy was, he was such a big deal.
So what did the operator do?
Okay, the operator contacted me. This was about 10 in the evening already. They immediately called me with their emergency phone number.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Rupert, we've received 6 emails. We've received 6
Private
emails
spoken.
from your group about...
out of a group of 10,
That's true.
That's so bad.
9 women and 1 guy, and there were 6 complaint emails.
That's true. We've received 6 emails from your group that you have one difficult passenger. And I've told them, like, yeah, I'm having a trouble about this guy already. And he suddenly changed his mood. He doesn't want to follow the program. He was harassing some few other ladies from my trip. Okay, we will be sending you a form. We need to release him from your group.
Wow, they kicked them out?
We kicked we kicked the big D out from our group. For me, it was hard. Because there are only 2 ways that you need to release someone from your trip. If you have an accident, if they will be staying on to the hospital or will be remaining on your exact area before you need to move on to the next destination, or use that one because you have a rude passenger or a difficult passenger, or wanted to go out from the group, So it was difficult for me because I need to confront him,
How do you say that to the guy? Like, hey, Dick, you've been a dick.
Okay,
You're gonna kick you out, Dick. Goodbye, Dick.
So after the phone call from the operator, I have these few pages of documents already that they have sent me. So we call it the release form. Okay. So I've messaged him about 11 in the evening that I need to talk to you. Something. Can we meet on the lobby? But he was there as well already. The inch of I've messaged him, he immediately went there as well. And
He knows what's coming, or not really?
maybe.
I think he
You
probably
know,
So he's aware of his actions. I mean, he knows what's
for
coming.
sure. After all of those
You have
arguments
to
that
be
we
really
had.
dense not to have an inkling.
He's a dick.
It's also possible that
A sensitive dick.
it's also possible that the other group members, the ladies,
Yeah.
told him that
Yeah,
they had
they-
filed complaints against him.
For
So
sure,
he was
for
We
probably
voted you out.
Yeah.
The tribe has spoken.
which brings me to slight intermission. Not just as a traveler, but this is a general life rule: don't be a dick. No, and connecting it to the actually it was that story you were telling earlier about the vloggers who were visiting what is considered a not so nice part of town, Tondo. I mean, even among the locals, it doesn't have the greatest reputation. But they had a brilliant experience interacting with, because most likely also they made the effort to be nice.
Yeah.
And generally, I mean, of course, you have exceptions, like anywhere. If you go in nice or polite or without malice, generally they will respond in the same way.
You get what you give.
Looking like a foreigner, as I do. I've also found that in my experience, that if you go in and you I mean, you don't. Everybody has their own style, but it's really not. It's really just not being a dick. And they respond well. And once they respond well. You break the ice a little bit, and it de-escalates any possible danger or any possible. So
The thing about us, like as long as you're nice, we'll treat you nice.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if you're arrogant, we'll find a way. We call it Malay vendetta. We'll get back to you some one way or another.
it's not 100% guaranteed,
Yeah.
because you'll have idiots and all over anywhere. I really honestly think they're the exceptions to the rule. If you go in with a little bit of humility, with a little bit of with as much of a sense of humor as you can, excuse me, because that's something that Filipinos respond very well to, a sense of humor. If you're willing to laugh, if you're willing to laugh at yourself, if you're willing to get you're not precious about being embarrassed in front of other people.
Serious.
It goes a long way. Just the general interaction. I mean, it doesn't mean if you're rude to someone, you're gonna get mugged. No, but again, it's a general life rule. Don't be a dick. Just don't be one. And it'll improve the experience immensely. Yes, you're visiting. Sorry, my S's are whistling. You're visiting the country, so supposedly the responsibility is the country is supposed to take care of you. But it works both ways. I mean, good host, yes, but you be a good guest. I mean, it's a it works both ways. I think. Again, I'm not victim blaming. I'm not victim shaming or anything like that. It's just that there's a two-way thing. Also. Sorry, I went on a tangent there while you were talking about your dick.
Was there any regret with that, with the safety talk, or no regrets about giving safety talks? Like it's automatic. Like I'm glad I gave a safety talk. Is it too serious if you do give safety talks?
For our clients, yes. Again, as per John said, common sense. But beyond that common sense, you need to tell them, because again, out of 10 people that you have in the group,
There's always one.
there's always one.
You
Again,
know what? Just to share, like one of the things that I get annoyed whenever like something fucks up. One guest would say, "Why didn't you tell me, Brian? Why did you tell me, Brian?"
Because honestly, I mean,
Because it's your job to tell them. That's why.
that's why not that's the worst thing that I guess, at least from a commercial standpoint, and not going into safety and all of that, of course, which is important, but like from a sales standpoint, that's the worst thing that that's the worst feedback that the guest can give to us. Even worse if it goes through the travel agent. Why didn't anybody tell me about this?
Yeah.
Because we go into the whole thing of expectations but I mean,
Never.
from a safety perspective, if you tell them, at least you have done your job and you have
Yes.
told them.
You know what? I remember one inspection trip I did recently, and the operator that I was with, he told me, like, it's mandatory that you tell them there's a life vest there. It releases you from liability if you want to talk about legalese. So that you pointed, there's a life vest there, and you have to wear it. And if they didn't, then there are people who witnessed that you did their job technically.
Yeah.
So like the liability of that, like you're free from that because you told them there's a life vest. Please wear it.
Again, listen to the locals.
Don't be a dick.
That too. This went downhill very quickly.
All right, so guys. So now this is the real thing now. So we go back again to the original question about safety. Will I get hurt, kidnapped, what have you in the Philippines?
Safety is, I said it in the beginning. It's a very easy question to ask, but I think anyway to answer it well is kind of complicated because there's a lot of. It's never just one thing, or it's not usually just one thing. You have your extreme cases, yes, but it's always a combination of the personal precautions and responsibility and common sense that you put into it. Listening to the locals and all of that. Then, as Rupert said, the shit happens. Accidents are unavoidable. Not unavoidable, but there will be accidents. You try to avoid them as much as you can. You take your precautions, but it'll happen. That's the thing. It's, have you taken all the reasonable steps to not put yourself in harm's way. And I think that's the key, because as a destination, we get a certain amount of bad press, again, because bad press is what sells. Bad press is what gets out there. I'm not saying we don't deserve our bad press, because these things happen. I'm not going to say no. Nobody ever gets kidnapped in the Philippines, or nobody gets into trouble. But it's a big country. It's a lot of people. It's not, we've been receiving guests for years now, and it's a safe place to travel. But also, again, listen to the local. If you're going off in a direction, and because you want that unique experience, you don't want to go where all the other travelers go, and you go to places where literally even the locals don't go, you might be asking for a little trouble. But I think that applies to anywhere to a certain extent.
Rupert?
Okay. Safety is a big word, but again, it just depends on you, but in a big city, yes, maybe, generally Filipinos, very nice. But whenever you travel, not only, everywhere you go, you just need to bring your mind, you follow the rules in every country you visit. Use your mind, that's it. It's just basic, when you travel, you follow the rules. You be humble, you be nice to everyone, they will be nice to you as well.
Don't be a dick.
You know what? The thing that my main takeaway here is actually what you said. The Filipinos are ready to help. Yeah, they will crowd. They will look. Okay, I will help afterwards. That's the thing about us. Yeah, as a people, I think we're ready to help if shit happens. No, yeah, that's what I noticed. So anyway, guys, thank you again for listening to Tropik Banter. Tune in next time as we talk about the quirks and what works in Philippine travel. This is Tropik Banter. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.